Did you see that when DB came back and played for us, that they got mad that our fan base was booing her?
I don't believe in booing former players unless they left on like some type shit.
You're observing the precise moment. A strategy that has been subtly dictating WNBA storylines for decades was completely upended by Sophie Cunningham. A lighthearted podcast discussion over Dana Bonner's awkward exit has grown into something much more. Additionally, the gatekeepers of the traditional media are going insane. They would prefer that you ignore this. Sophie recently demonstrated that WNBA players like herself, Caitlin Clark, and the Indiana Fever can manage their own narratives without the help of ESPN The Athletic or any of the league's long-standing, protected media darlings. She avoided all of the outmoded channels, spoke directly to the fans, and garnered more genuine interaction in a single year than the majority of seasoned sports journalists could hope for. That is not only unnerving, but existential for a sector of the economy that is based on serving as a go-between for athletes and the general public. Leave a hot Sophie remark to show your support for Sophie.
I like DB because DB was one of my bets when I was in Phoenix, and then we gathered here into Indiana, and it was kind of a surprise that she was signed to Indiana anyway, and so we'll take her in a heartbeat. She's a Hall of Famer, she's a hell of a basketball player, can score from anywhere on the court.
Imagine what the WNBA might be like if players were in charge of their own stories before we analyze how Sophie unintentionally revealed the league's media flaws. No anti-Clark spin, biased filtering, or agendas that set teammates against one another. Sophie's recent actions go well beyond the issue surrounding the Bonners. We are witnessing the dawn of a new era that has the potential to fundamentally alter the narrative surrounding women's basketball.
No way better than me,
Yeah.
but it just feels like people are jealous of this new little wave of.
They are, but I just hate that because this is what we've always wanted as a league. So who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
You are literally making money from the viewership.
And why bully the person who is not 100% responsible, but has a huge role in growing your sport?
Dude, and it literally pisses me off when people are she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
For many years, WNBA coverage was surrounded by walls constructed by traditional sports media, which chose which players received airtime and which stories suited their brand. Sophie just demonstrated that the walls are made of wet tissue paper rather than stone. Let's examine how one uncensored podcast episode exposed the system's true weakness and why all of the big sports media outlets are currently rushing to get athlete partnerships before they completely lose the narrative. The numerals were the red flag. Sophie's Instagram and TikTok followings have subtly grown to over 1.1 million and 1.6 million, respectively, surpassing the combined audience of numerous WNBA insider reporters. While ESPN pretended that Caitlin Clark's record-breaking evenings weren't noteworthy, she was busy building that business.
I went from I think
Followers, yeah.
350,000 and maybe 200,000 on TikTok.
You had 200,000 on TikTok a month ago?
No. I
Before the fight.
Before the fight, and then I had 350 on 100,000 on Instagram. Over the night, or over a day and a half, over 1 million on both. Insane. This is coming from me though, dude. I got tired of seeing myself.
I get it.
And I love myself.
Oh, I get it.
I love myself. I was over it.
This is where the entire game is turned upside down. Sophie didn't kiss the old guard's ring to get there. She achieved this by using language that true fans can comprehend. Real, competitive, and unrepentant. Sophie went straight to the people, giving them something they weren't receiving from ESPN's safe for broadcast sound bites, genuineness, while other players put in extra effort to ensure the media kept them in a polished, secure bubble. The power changed at that precise instant. Sophie didn't give a reporter her information in a whisper. She didn't give The Athletic a gift of speed. She didn't even hint at it initially on Twitter. She sat down with her co-host on Show Me Something and revealed a shocking revelation that completely turned the Bonner debate upside down. For anyone who wished to hear it, The unadulterated truth was presented without editors, spin, or corporate PR scripts. In the past, if a player had inside information about shady exits or pandemonium in the locker room, it would find its way to a beat writer, who would then craft it into a well-sourced article and present it to the public on the media's terms. Controlled timing, controlled framing, controlled impact.
But she got to Indiana and she just like really wasn't happy. And like I want people to be happy, so that's why I'm kind of like neutral on this one, which a lot of people are surprised about. She's towards the end of her career, so like she deserves her flowers. She deserves to be happy. But I also think that if you're gonna leave, like you're gonna have to expect getting booed. Like,
Was there explanation when it happened? No. Not even privately? Yeah, I mean, okay. That's tough. And, yeah, okay. Well, I did say what? Unless you leave on some you type shit, and that's what that is, so.
yeah.
After taking a glance at that, Sophie replied, yeah, no. Because she lived it, she was able to tell it herself and more effectively than any outsider could. She had the platform, the background, and the first-hand credibility to make the statement without seeking consent. A degree of autonomy that Caitlin Clark and other Fever players are not allowed to have by the mainstream media.
One of the biggest stars the WNBA's ever
Who's that?
had. Her name rhymes with Schmegel.
Hurtland?
Yeah. What has that been like, seeing her not only kind of transform a league, but also just be like,
No,
is that fair to say?
not even just the league, but like
The
women's
sport.
basketball as a whole around the world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old and the whole world is watching her.
The strategic bombshell that everyone else missed is right here. Sophie's podcast is more than just her using a microphone in a garage. Colin Cowherd's sports media empire, The Volume, is in charge of its distribution. That is the first significant intersection of mainstream sports media power and WNBA players' material. She wasn't brought on as a token gesture to support women's sports or for charitable purposes. Because they saw what ESPN was unable to, they signed her. That authentic player-driven narrative consistently outperforms politically safe, antiseptic coverage. Just that transaction makes a big impression. WNBA players are no longer confined to their niche in women's sports. They may enter the mainstream sports arena right away and engage with a larger, more demanding audience that is more interested in learning the truth and less concerned with upholding the status quo. Other players will discover they don't require the middlemen as a result of Sophie's success. The traditional media guard is beginning to perspire for precisely that reason. According to rumors, major sports networks are reportedly vying for WNBA players to appear on their own programs. Why? Because Sophie demonstrated that there is a sizable market for uncensored player content and that viewers will consistently select it over ESPN's corporately sanctioned narrative.
You have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlin. We call her CC. For even when I wasn't on her team, like I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And like I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But
Right.
there's just more.
The league's Protect the Veterans code is being broken by Sophie. The one that asserts that you never call out the inner circle, reveal the politics, or give supporters cause to doubt particular idols. After examining that unwritten contract, Sophie declared it to be broken. She was honest about Bonner's tumultuous leaving because it was true, not because it was convenient or secure. And the readiness to prioritize the truth over politics. While the traditional media has been too afraid to touch it, Caitlin Clark's enormous fan following and other new WNBA fans have been hankering after that very thing.
So it's her second year, and like now being on her team and like seeing it, I'm like, what are people doing? Like, actually, it's just too much, and like it's just I'm over. And if I'm saying it's too much,
Sophie Cunningham addressed the very fans that the previous WNBA media apparatus had been ignoring for months in her ferocious support of Caitlin Clark. Clark just need timelines and flimsy pleas for balance, whereas legacy journalists cautiously wrapped her story. Sophie termed the critics of Clark utterly stupid. She meant each and every word. That is a well-thought-out masterstroke in addition to being genuine. Sophie focused on Clark's, the league's most ardent and rapidly expanding fan base, and spoke to them in their own words rather than the stale jargon of the media elite. Her engagement figures demonstrated that her decision to prioritize expansion over exclusion was a wise one.
Like, I'm not saying that your job is easy, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What call are you bugged out?
All of them.
Just everything.
Like, it's just they're just so inconsistent. Like, that's my thing. Like, if you're on the other team and you're gonna be finding the shit out of me,
yeah,
cool. But let me do it to you.
They let you, yeah.
You know what I mean?
More
Like,
consistency then.
yeah, like just give, and I think that's players across the league and like new fans across the country. Like, everyone's like, what is going on with the refs? And I'm like, I don't know. And you finding me $500 is not going to do shit.
Because it keeps them as the required interpreters, the traditional sports press encourages athletes to only utilize sanitized comments that have been approved by sponsors. But that entire intermediary layer is rendered useless when Sophie speaks bluntly and unashamedly. Fans can get her message without a reporter's help. She states it clearly, and everyone understands. Traditional journalists get chills just thinking about that. What precisely are the gatekeepers offering if athletes like Sophie and Caitlin are able to reach millions of people, amass enormous fan bases, and manage their stories without their help? Controlled access served as the foundation for their whole business strategy. They allegedly had the platforms and connections that players required. Sophie just demonstrated that was untrue.
And there's a couple girls in
Dumb
it too.
question. If someone were to say someone called men's basketball their whole life and then went over to women's, would they be expected to call the game differently? Just given the style and physicality and stuff like that?
And this change involves more than simply one player discovering her voice. Sophie's achievement is establishing a new benchmark for communication among all WNBA players. The same degree of unvarnished, unadulterated honesty is now expected of others by fans. The standard PR-approved answers that were formerly commonplace are now viewed as corporate and phony. Other players are examining Sophie's stats and the influence she has amassed, and they are wondering why they continue to let media gatekeepers to filter their messages when they might be addressing the public directly. The incentive structure has completely changed. This forecast is going to keep conventional editors up at night. At least a few well-known WNBA players will debut their own shows in the next 6 months after. There is the proof of concept. Sophie did more than damage the WNBA's media apparatus. She revealed that the object had always been brittle. Only because players felt they required traditional coverage more than traditional coverage needed them did the structure operate. Sophie dispelled that myth and demonstrated that a genuine, direct relationship with fans is far more useful than pre-written corporate messaging.
The thing that I have the biggest issue about those female sides of refs is they're so emotional. The guys, no, the NBA officials, the NBA players must fuck those officials no
Oh,
other.
yeah.
I've worked broadcast, I've been to games, I'm friends with these people.
Yeah.
And the only person that I've ever seen able to mother a ref on the women's side is Diana Taurasi.
And they take it.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah, they have
and
to.
but when she's probably one of the worst people that I've seen go after refs.
This is the section that the old guard never grasped. Fans of sports aren't watching for courteous, safe interactions. Rivalry, competition, and emotion are what they're here for. To prevent controversy, WNBA coverage has been sanitized into a cliched, everyone respects everyone's storyline for years. Sophie demonstrated that the contrary is true. Crowds are drawn to conflict,